The 90s was the decade that boy bands became a thing. With NSYNC and Backstreet Boys gracing the stage, one of the most influential boy bands were coming up with something else. At this point, you should know that I consider Metallica to be the greatest boy band ever. Period. I don't want to hear any opposition. So today, I hope you'll join me to talk about two of my favorite Metallica albums, Load and Reload. I'm Kylah, and this is your Tallica Talk of the day. So, Load would start out with Ain't My Expletive, 2x4, The House That Jack Built, Until It Sleeps, King Nothing, Hero of the Day, Bleeding Me, Cure, Poor Twisted Me, Wasting My Hate, Mama Said, Thorn Within, Ronnie, and finally The Outlaw Torn. And then Reload would include Fuel, The Memory Remains, Devil's Dance, The Unforgiven 2, Better Than You, Slither, Carpe Diem Baby, Bad Seed, Where the Wild Things Are, Prince Charming, Low Man's Lyric, Attitude, and then finally Fixer. I love Load more than Reload, admittedly. It's just because I listen to it more and I've become more accustomed to it because the songs aren't that different. So the members for this album would include the same as the Black Album, those being James Hetfield on rhythm guitar and vocals, Lars Ulrich on drums, Jason Newsted on bass guitar, and Kirk Hammett on lead guitar. So first, I want to talk about what happened during the recording of this and the giant change between 1991 when the Black Album came out all the way up to 1996 when Load first released. It was such a it's crazy to see photos of the band members from then to 1996. And this was when all of the band members chopped off their hair. I don't know why. I think all the crappy reviews in magazines got to their heads, which I don't think it helped much because then the journalists writing the stuff for the magazines would comment on why their hair is short. That was a whole situation. And then once Load got released, people hated it. People absolutely hated it. If you thought the backlash from the Black Album was bad, take a look at Load and Reload because it's wild. Because 2x4 is more of a blues rock song, and then Mama Said is full on 90s country, which I'm a country hater. I'm proud to say it. I do not like country, but I do love Mama Said. Not just because it's Metallica, it's a really good song, good message, whatever. So that was a big source of controversy for this album. So my personal favorite, I can't choose. I'll give you my top three, which would be The House That Jack Built, Bleeding Me, and Cure. And an honorable mention would be The Outlaw Torn. I do love that song. Another honorable mention would be Hero of the Day. It's so hard to choose because, this album is second most played in my car. Because first is And Justice for All, that is my favorite Metallica album. And then it's Load. I love Load. Me and my guitar teacher were talking about this, both big Metallica fans, and he brought up a good point. If Load and Reload were released at the same time and they got rid of some of the songs that aren't necessities to the album, we think that it would have been more of a success. I love The House That Jack Built so much, and they've only played this live once or twice. I love this song so much. I don't care what anyone says about the talk box that James Hetfield does. I love it so much, and this specific riff, it took me forever to figure out on guitar, by the way, but I got it. Proud to say I got it. Figured it out on my own. Yeah, but I'm gonna play it right now because it's so good. Another one, like I said, was Bleeding Me. Holy crap, love that song so much. James Hetfield's vocals on this album, they're different, but they're so good, and especially in Bleeding Me, he puts all of his emotions into his vocals in this song, and it is so good and so empowering. And along with that, like, I can hear that in the Outlaw Torn with his vocals. It's like screams of agony, but also music to my ears, if that makes any sense and doesn't make me sound like a psycho. On another note, I do love Cure as well. This is a song that I just learned on guitar, and there's some weird riffs in there, and it's stuff, like, as a guitar player, I tend to gravitate towards listening to specifically the guitar when I'm listening to a song. So I'm like, ooh, I want to learn that on guitar or whatever. And I never really did that with Cure until I started learning it. And the chorus riff for that song, the guitar in total for that song is very fun and just weird, interesting. And I think that's why I love this album so much, is because, as they've always done, they were doing what they wanted to do. And you could tell absolutely. Another song that was very much different from anything on the Black Album, anything that they had put out before, was Hero of the Day. And obviously there's some Metallica feel in there. There's still that heavy riff in the chorus, especially at the end of the song. I do love the end of the song a lot. But the whole song is really good, and the music video is also very cool. I recommend checking that out as well. But yeah, I mean, that song, there's some cool riffs in there. And speaking of all of these guitar riffs, another reason that I can see why people would be less inclined to listen to Load and Reload was that James Hetfield actually did a lot of the solos on this album, and they kind of switched spots in some songs, him and Kirk. Kirk actually made up a lot of the rhythm riffs for Load specifically. James recorded a lot of the solo and harmony parts that Kirk would have usually recorded, so I can see how that would upset some people. But it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, they were doing what they wanted. Speaking of doing what they wanted, that's where we get to Jason Newsted. Now, as you know, Metallica had already had one bassist before this, and this was Cliff Burton. And after his unfortunate passing, they would hire Jason Newsted in 1986. And he would stay there for a long time, 10, 11 years. And then after Reload is when he would leave the band. And this would send the band kind of in like a spiral of sorts. And the whole reason that he left is that he didn't have a lot of the creative freedom that he desired in the band. And you know what? I probably would have left too if I felt like I didn't have a voice, felt like I didn't have a say in what was going on. It was a very unfortunate event, but the band is still on good terms with Jason to this day, and I think that's really cool that they can put aside their differences even though they weren't able to back in the 90s. I'm not going to go into complete detail with Saint Anger. There's a lot to talk about. I don't want to spend too much time on it. If you know of Metallica, I feel like if you were alive then, you would have at least heard about Saint Anger, or at least heard of the bad reviews for that album. Yeah, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, because, I mean, it's not something that I particularly enjoy talking about. I do think that the album is very good. I do think that the album, had it been higher quality when it was released, it would have gotten a lot of better reviews than it did. And I know that's something that they don't care about. They don't care about hits, they don't care about being at the top, they care about what they want to do. And that's exactly what happened when Saint Anger came out. So now I'm going to move on to Reload. I don't know as much about Reload as I do Load, because like I've said a couple times now, Load is above Reload in my ranking. My personal favorite from this album, I do really enjoy Fixer. I know people would get mad at me for saying this. I don't really like Fuel. I don't know, I think it's just because it's overplayed. I think that's why, but it's not my favorite. And The Unforgiven 2 is also not my favorite. I love the riff, and I like how it's similar. If I had to pick an Unforgiven, I would pick the third one, but I'll get to that in my next episode. I do really enjoy Bad Seed, I enjoy Fixer, Prince Charming, and Where the Wild Things are also very, very good songs. I really recommend those songs, and Where the Wild Things Are, that main riff was Jason. So Load and Reload had a gap spanning about a year between those releases. I don't listen to Reload as much as I should, because it is such a good album, And I don't understand the hate. I mean, I can see where people are coming from, because it sounded different. But if they sound the same, they would still get hate, because you're not changing it up. You're not doing whatever, blah, 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 blah. You're not doing whatever's in at the time. Okay. Do you think they have ever cared about that? No. They helped invent a whole genre. Of course they're not doing whatever's in at the time. I'm getting heated about this, but it's still an issue. Overall, I mean, I love both of these albums. I could listen to them all day, and I'm pretty sure I have. Load is one of my go-to albums to listen to in the car. Just a couple months ago, Metallica was teasing remastering Load, because it's been almost 30 years since its release. And they just did that a couple months ago, and there's a really cool YouTube video of Kirk on Metallica's channel unboxing the box set for Load, and it's funny to watch. I love these albums so much, and I hope that after hearing about all this, you'll go give them a listen. And give them a listen before you read any reviews. I don't want it to taint your view of any of these. Well, that's a wrap for today. I hope you'll join me in the next episode to discuss one of my favorite and most underrated Metallica albums. And no, it's not the one that you think it is. Until next time, keep calm and listen to Metallica.